Welcome back to Close Up. Immigration policy remains a flashpoint at the New Hampshire State House. This last week, the House Criminal Justice Committee tangled over legislation that would protect the ability of local law enforcement to cooperate with federal immigration officials. Senate Bill 62 would prevent municipal or county governments from prohibiting or impeding law enforcement agencies from entering into their own agreements with Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE. This would essentially mean that if a local government adopted a so-called sanctuary policy, the police officers or deputies under that governing body would still be able to coordinate with ICE on matters of immigration enforcement.
I don't think we should be hindering that. We should always be working to enforce the laws of our country and our state. So whatever we can do to assist. I know some people won't agree with that.
And I think it's up to those more local units, particularly counties or sheriff's departments, to make that decision. I don't think it's the business of the legislature to say one way or another whether they should whether they should be allowed to do that or not. And so I think we can let the federal government deal with that and make their agreements. We don't need this.
When the potential of this cooperation is the renditioning of people to a prison in a foreign country with no due process, I think we have to ask ourselves, when does helping out the federal government become compliance with something that I think a lot of people, including myself, absolutely do not agree with. I think it's important on these bills at this point, given where we are in April of 2025, to start sending a message that we will not be complicit in New Hampshire.
I believe that cooperation with the federal government is definitely in order. I'm not aware of anyone having been sent anywhere from New Hampshire to a foreign prison, and I'm sure that the federal government will deal with that in its own time.
This bill is now headed for a floor vote in the New Hampshire House in May. That wraps up this edition of Close Up New Hampshire. Thanks for watching. Have a great Sunday.